What's up, guys? This is Justin, and this is the Welcome to Your Doom Show. This is episode number 24. Athel and I are discussing the DC Comics crossover event, Dark Knight's Metal. The book ran from 2017 to 2018 and spanned across multiple characters and books and had tie-ins and was all kind of confusing. Athel and I had mixed feelings about it, and we go into all the detail in the episode. So we hope you enjoy the episode. If you like what we're doing and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe and tell your friends. If you want to check out more of our content, you can visit us at welcometoyourdoomshow.com and see some of the other things we got going on there. Thanks again for watching, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to your doom.
What's up, folks? This is Justin.
Hey, this is Athel.
And this is the Welcome to Your Doom Show. So, we've been looking over some SDCC news. We're recording this on the weekend that SDCC is happening, so
Yes.
We've only seen a little bit because it's Friday.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really stuck out to me is the Titans trailer, which was holy shit. It was a lot more violent and crazy than I thought it was going to be. Sweary, but there's just as much teenage angst as I thought would be in that trailer.
Yeah, but you know, I'm the guy that doesn't like judge a book by its cover or a movie or a show by its trailer. But that is exactly what I didn't want to see for a Titans show. Like, it's the exact opposite of what I wanted, and people are just having a field day with it because it's like, I think I saw someone say like Zack Snyder approves. I'm like, I can't defend that. Like,
Yeah.
I can't, based on what we saw there, I can't defend it. It was just, I was excited to see the Titans. I was excited to see, their take. And I was so blindsided by that trailer. I couldn't even piece my mind together after I saw it. I'm like, what did I just see?
It's like Warner Brothers was like, okay, well, we have Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
What's the opposite end of the spectrum?
Yeah. Like,
fuck Batman. That's what it is. Let's go.
Extreme opposite.
Oh
But
my God.
the worst part about it is that Brenton Thwaites, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He looks like a
Everybody looks
Tim
the part.
Drake, or is he a Dick Grayson? I don't know who he is, but he looks like a Robin. Like he's got that face, and
I think he's Grayson.
he's Grayson.
Yeah.
And Beast Boy looks great. Like there's the one shot of Beast Boy, and I'm like,
It all looks really good. It's just that it's
kind of fun. I don't know about the
extremely dark and
Starfire.
violent.
Looks a little. I didn't really get to see a lot of the Starfire. Just see her hair and her
Right.
eyes.
Yeah.
And the Raven whole thing story arc seems to be what's bringing everyone together, and they're gonna do the Trigun stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, but the whole like look and feel and like the their approach is just why. Why take that approach? Like you said, they took Teen Titans Go, and they're like, we need the polar opposite of this.
Yeah.
And so I don't say this often, but. Man, like I'm not liking it. I can't muster any. I can't say but this, but that. Like, because typically I can I got nothing on this.
I like seeing the different take on Robin being that angry and aggressive, but that's about it. And the only reason I can see this working for the WB is that I think that this is what they want for their streaming service, right? That's what this show's for. And I think that they're trying to market it to adults that have like the Robin character. And honestly, I think a lot of adults only know the Robin character. I don't think anybody's looking at like Hawk and Dove and being like, yes, I've been waiting for a Hawk and Dove movie.
Oh my God, it's funny that you mentioned that. I just like, did you see the scene with Dove?
She's slicing motherfuckers in half.
Yeah, like the Achilles heel of some kind. Like, that's like what she's not supposed to do?
No.
That's supposed, like, she's the avatar of peace, and Hawk, the big red guy in the red suit, he's the avatar of war, and she's always the one that's like, hey, settle the fuck down.
Yeah.
She's just ripping people's Achilles tendons out.
I didn't see him do anything.
Yeah,
she was doing everything.
That's right. He just stood there and looked. He's like, whoa. That's a
like,
lot for even me.
I'm good.
I think you filled the war quota. Thanks. Like, whoa. I don't know. You know what? It's a wait and see sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
Maybe they pushed. You know, you can cut trailers any which way.
Yeah.
And you can get any feeling out of them. I think they overdid it. in this trailer. I
much.
don't know if the whole show is going to be like that.
But the WB streaming service is I think they said $7.99. I'm guessing US.
Yeah.
I'd pay for that.
I'd pay for
sure.
it because you know what's going to be on there, man? Like
Everything.
the Batman animated
All
series, all that
of
stuff.
them.
And like the Swamp Thing series and all of that. I'm like, if this other stuff starts looking good, definitely jump in. I just saw this.
Young Justice Outside. They just did a trailer for
Young
it?
Justice Outsiders trailer just came out.
I gotta
That
watch
show
that
is
later.
incredible. Like a real return to like the Justice League like level TV show, like Batman and Superman animated series stuff. Like wonderful show, and I'm really glad it's coming back. I am super jazzed for the Aquaman trailer coming out tomorrow. I'm like really cannot wait for this thing. They've been releasing a lot of publicity, shots of the creatures in the movie, and the poster came out. I love the tagline, "Home is calling." Like it's all working for me. Really excited, so I'm waiting with bated breath for tomorrow's DC panel. DC is bringing the big guns. This SDCC. I mean, the New York Comic Cons that I used to go to, they had a couple of big ones, but like remember they were mostly absent. They didn't even have a booth for like the last four of them that I went to, and but this one they're bringing the juice in Hall H. Like Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman started shooting already. Their streaming service. Like there's
a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and
it all looks positive. Like
except for the Titans, I just can't get behind right now. But
sure.
like this other stuff, like the Young Justice stuff, the Aquaman, I'm excited about Shazam as well. Like I think we talked about this briefly, but you didn't really like the look of the suit. You thought they're gonna play up the kid angle a little bit.
Yeah, but that's personal preference. I'm not gonna call. I'd still see the shit out of it depending on how it's being marketed. If it's being marketed as some like crazy kids movie, I'm gonna be a lot less interested. Sure. But I mean, I think the Billy Batson character should come through in Shazam. It's just the question of how much.
Right.
I don't want to see Shazam like sitting cross-legged with a bunch of his kid friends drinking Slurpees and talking about school. Like, I mean, at a certain point, it's too much.
We talked about this. Yeah. It's what makes him unique. So I think that's what they're pushing forward a lot.
Right.
And that's what the movie should be constructed around. But I think there's a certain amount that you're going to take.
Yes. Yeah. As an audience member, don't go too far with that.
Yeah.
I think that there's a certain amount that you can have him be a kid, but also be informed by Shazam the Wizard.
Yep.
And the
I want to see
wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah. Sure.
So. Yeah, so it's I am excited for it. I just hope that it doesn't go too far into childish antics.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today, man?
We are talking about the what do you
call it?
What do you call it? The Dark Knight's Metal series that DC put out between 2017 and when did it end?
We're really late to this party.
Yeah, I know.
We were
super late to this party.
Yeah,
but
Dark Knight's Metal came out June 2017 to March 2018. So it was over that 6 months or 7 months there. They had the core series, Dark Knight's Metal 1 to 6, which is primarily what we're going to be reviewing. But they also had 6 or 7 one-shots highlighting different aspects in the different... what is not a spoiler, the Nightmare Batman that show up that are analogs of Batman mixed with the other members of the Justice League, and they're very, very bad people.
And they're very, very good books. Like those tie-ins, just for me, were my favorite parts of the series.
Right.
Then you also had a couple of other series. There was a Gotham Resistance storyline, and then there was a Bats Out of Hell, which collected through a few different series. And they were okay.
Oh, you got through all that stuff?
I got through all. Dude, I was a beast. When it came to every time I told you I'm like halfway through, I had read one book. I blasted through like everything in the last night and this morning.
So
I'm a monster when it comes to reading.
I think we could probably jump right into it then.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dark Knight's Metal. Sweet baby Darkseid. Starro has 5 asses. That's the last thing I thought I was going to discover when I read this book.
I really, really hope that like somebody, if you're listening to this and you haven't read it, and you're like, "Why is Justin laughing?" Go read these books.
Yeah. And general feelings. I was middle of the road on this one.
I was too. I really don't have any strong feelings one way or the other.
It's too bad because,
about the series.
Yeah.
The one-shots were fucking awesome.
So that's a weird thing because I didn't even read the one-shots. Yeah. I read the Aquaman, the Drowned one-shot, but I didn't read any of the other one-shots. I just read the core series 1 to 6.
Yeah.
It's written by Scott Snyder. The core series 1 to 6 is written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Greg Capullo, who have been essentially writing and drawing Batman since the New 52 started. They started with the Court of Owls, and then with Death of the Family, and then what was after that? Not Endgame. I didn't. So I read.
There was one between Endgame
and Death of the Family.
Yeah.
So I read.
0 Year.
Sorry.
0 Year.
0 Year.
Yeah.
So I read the first two. I read Court of Owls, which is a fantastic book.
Amazing.
If somebody asked me, I wanted to get into comic superhero books, that's a quick recommendation because it's self-contained, very well told, well drawn. Death of the Family was also quite good, but I haven't read anything beyond that. That did inform some of this book, though. Like, Scott Snyder's been working towards this series for a long time.
Yeah.
So general feelings, middle of the road. I read it, and some parts were a little confusing, as I haven't read anything other than those two series. So the Dark Side War and Endgame and stuff like that, I didn't read. But there's you know what, I just felt there was too much exposition. There was a lot of talking.
Yeah.
There was dialogue, but this is the Watchmen of crossovers. There's dialogue bubbles and text all over this motherfucker, and that kind of put me off.
Yeah.
A little bit. It was a lot. It was very dense.
Yeah, it was very dense. So I thought that the pacing of it for the first few books was actually okay. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of exposition. This is what the metal is. This is what Batman's been investigating, but I also had the advantage that I read most of the tie-ins, so I kind of got a little...
Yeah,
did you read The Forge and the Casting?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
You got a little bit of build-up to that, but between the books, there was stuff happening in those tie-ins, the 6 or 7 circles around Gotham, around Challenger's Mountain.
Yeah.
Without knowing kind of what that is...
There's no context.
There's no context. It's just
insane.
Yeah.
I get it, because I feel like there are giant holes in this story, and I don't know, maybe I don't know what it is. When I was reading, and I'm gonna do. This is not the first time I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this a lot. I'm gonna compare this to the Blackest Night.
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm gonna compare it to the Blackest Night because I think that's one of the best that and the Sinestro Corps War, one of the best, two of the best crossovers ever. Ever in the DCU. When I read the core 8 issues of the Blackest Night, I got the whole story. The other stuff was wonderful to fill in gaps, but I didn't feel like at any point I was discombobulated when I was reading the story.
Yeah.
And even the Absolute Edition only includes the Blackest Night core 8 issues, as well as the Green Lantern interleaved in between. And you only need those 2 books. It tells the whole story. And I'm a believer in the fact that the core books should be telling a cohesive story, and I just don't think this did that. And it's unfortunate because I think there's a lot of cool stuff here. You know what else? You know who else did that? The Flashpoint Paradox. The Flashpoint series, they told their story in that book. I didn't need to read. I only read the tie-ins after. I didn't read them while I was reading it, and I was totally into it. I really liked it.
Yeah.
This is just I was like, what? Where did this character's gone now? Where are these? Why are they fighting on a mountain? Where did this come from? Where are they? I was asking myself that question a lot. And for a book with so much text, it didn't answer any of those questions. So I was kind of discombobulated, and it sort of put a damper on the experience. I did like some of the themes of hope and light and all of that stuff, but again, they came with massive dialogue bubbles that were just these very dramatic soliloquies kind of thing going on, and I was like, yeah, so I kind of had mixed feelings about that. The art's great. Greg Capullo pulls out all the stops. He has some weird takes on some characters, but other,
which ones did you feel?
Aquaman. I don't think I really like his.
No,
I don't think I really like his Aquaman.
It kind of takes me back to Harpoon.
Yeah, no, but I think they've made that change in the Aquaman books, but there are other artists that have drawn that look better. I think
he looks more scruffy than stoic than anything.
I don't know what I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was. I think his art is more catered to something a little darker, a little more gritty. This one is super colorful, and I think it clashes with some of his little more scratchier art style. There are some scenes in here that reminded me directly of his Spawn days, like when he drew Spawn for McFarlane.
Yeah, I can see that.
Anyway, so those are my general thoughts.
So maybe we should just go into
Okay,
spoilers.
let's jump into it.
Yeah.
All right, so the story of Metal opens up with what I think is the wackiest scene I've ever
On War
read.
World.
Yeah, on War World with Mongol, and they're stuck in this gladiatorial pit, and they're fighting these robots that are designed to take them out. But then they discover that they can jump inside the robots and take them over, and they form a giant, like, Power Ranger, like a giant
Justice League Voltron.
Yeah, Justice League or Megazord or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, and they have these. Here's the thing about this book: it was funny. Like there were moments of real like comedy here, which I actually quite enjoyed. There were some good one-liners. So then they get back to Earth, and Batman's been investigating something without them, and he's basically trying to uncover the mystery of
This metal.
the metal.
Yeah.
And metal being eighth or nth metal, what
Yeah.
they call nth metal. And then I think what happens, like Challenger Mountain, which is this, like, how did you describe the Challengers of the Unknown in the
They're
DC
the
universe?
knockoff Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's
That's really what they are.
Yeah, and something goes on Challenger Mountain, and basically they get notified. I guess they get told they meet Kendra Saunders.
Yeah.
Who is like Hawk Girl.
Yep.
But
Not Hot Girl.
yeah,
She's
so
after the nth metal. I think that's a story we missed.
So I look at this. She's like, "You guys don't know me, but I know you." This is the line from the book, and then
Yeah.
later Wonder Woman calls her Hot Girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but she's never Hot Girl. Like anyway. So this is another one of those weird things where I think not having the whole picture added to my confusion. And then Batman basically like disappears.
Yeah. Well, because she came out and she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna abduct Batman."
Oh,
He's
yeah,
been
'cause they need
researching
him.
some shit, and
Right, they need
we don't
him.
want. Yeah, they need him. They don't want him to do whatever he's gonna do, and then he escapes. He's
Yeah, he
ready
escapes.
for that, and he escapes.
He,
and he stole something.
He stole
from
the
her.
nth metal,
The nth
or
metal
like
from
he
her.
stole some kind of metal from them.
Yeah.
And they are saying that he's been conditioned to be the unlocker of this dark universe.
Yes.
So they're like, look, we need to capture Batman because he's the key. He will bring the dark universe about because he's been conditioned by the Court of Owls and a demon named how did you pronounce this? BarBATos or BarBATos?
That's something that I had gone over in my head a couple times, and I wrote down as a note because every time. So originally in my head, I was going BarBATos.
Yeah, I was going
right?
BarBATos as well.
Sorry, I was going.
I was going BarBATos.
Yes, that's what I was doing
I was going
originally. I was going BarBATos, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Maybe they're probably accentuating the bat part in it, right? And then I said BarBATos, and then I started thinking BarBATos, and then I started laughing every time I read it because I'm like BarBATos.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to go on vacation.
That's right. And there's this funny scene where they say Batman probably has some sophisticated like escape plan.
Yeah.
He escapes from them, but the next panel is him jumping on a velociraptor to get out of there. I thought that was pretty funny. And it's revealed that there are folks in the DC universe that are sensitive to the nth metal.
Yes.
And anyone who's sensitive to the nth metal can detect where those deposits are and can see what's coming. And what's coming are avatars of the dark universe, this dark matter universe that has always been there but never been discovered. So what they end up deciding to do is they need to find Batman. So that's
Right.
one thing. And they decide to split up and look for the nth metal. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping a whole bunch of stuff. They try to find Batman.
Yeah. Well, Batman essentially disappears, and then he finds Carter Hall's dictionary. Or not dictionary.
Carter Hall's dictionary.
Sorry.
Hawk.
Again, bourbon.
Man.
He's
2 words.
Hawkman. Hawkman's. It sounds like Walkman. Hawkman's diary. That's what I was trying to say.
That's right.
His diary.
Because he's been investigating.
He's been investigating
over many millennia.
And a lot of the story is really told through his eyes or through his
right.
experiences, which is kind of interesting up until a point. I mean, up until issue 2 is really where it cuts off.
It comes back later.
Yes, it comes back later.
So,
And
so he finds his journal.
Yes.
Batman finds his journal while managing to evade the Justice League in a really, really funny way.
Yeah.
He leads them through a swamp and gets them all into it. And I thought this was one of the highlights of the book. He gets them to the swamp, and they're like, look, it's the Bat family. It's Dick Grayson and it's Damian Wayne that are dressed like Batman. And they're trying to, confuse the team so that Batman can continue his investigation while eluding the League. and they're like, "Why'd you bring us here? Just hand it over." And they end up leading them to Swamp Thing's like sort of. Is that his like lair, or did they basically Damian Wayne brought something that was so destructive to plant life?
Yeah.
And the bag they were holding was full of it, and Cyborg realizes that it could destroy all of this plant life. So then all of a sudden Swamp Thing comes out and he's like, who dares harm the Green? And then they all bolt, right?
Yeah.
So they basically use
Parliament
Swamp
of
Thing.
Trees. That's what it is.
That was, Is that where they were?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
yeah, that
'cause
was
they didn't
something
even
they
realize-
established back in like Brightest Day.
Brightest Day, yeah. So they'd realized that they were in his zone, and they brought a really destructive weapon to the Green.
What the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, Swamp Thing loses his shit. So Batman basically outsmarts them by using his Swamp Thing trap.
So what ended up happening was Batman ended up running off he ended up distracting them with something that sounds like his heartbeat, because he figured that's what Superman was going off of.
Yeah.
And then turns out he went to, what is it, the Tomb of Carter Hall, or the Tomb of something.
Yep, yeah.
I'm going to say Tomb of Carter Hall.
Valley of the Kings?
That sounds promising.
That sounds,
So
sounds like something.
he goes to basically investigate where Carter Hall was buried, I believe.
Yep.
And it turns out it wasn't his tomb. It was actually Hathset's, who's
the Carter Hall and Kendra's Hawkman and Hawkgirl's like mortal enemy. The one that originally cursed them to relive their love and die over and over and over again.
So they bring him to this temple of Hathset, and that's actually where everybody, the Court of Owls.
Oh yeah, he gets jumped.
They basically got jumped, and they're like, yeah, we knew Carter Hall's dictionary was in there.
They're just waiting for him to find it. Right?
Yeah, and conjugate. Yeah. So they found that he was in there, and they're like, yeah, well, you found it finally, dude. And guess what? We have a metal that we're gonna infuse you with. That's gonna open the door for the bad guy. BarBATos. BarBATos.
Sunny beaches and crystal clear water are coming for you, boy, Bruce.
So they pour the metal, which I can't even, I don't know if I'm going to say the name without laughing. Is BATMANium?
Yeah, BATMANium. I'm like, come on, guys.
That was a bit on the nose. But they essentially fuse Batman with this BATMANium.
So one thing I want to do before you go forward is that the most ridiculous scene in this book is out of a bag. Is it a bag?
It's a bag. That's what I took. I did the exact same. I looked back a page and back forward because I'm like, did he just carry a baby out of the bag and be like, ah?
He's been carrying this backpack and this entire time, riding on dinosaurs and like jet skis and whatever to get to this tome, and he finally gets down there. And what does he pull out of this bag? It's a little baby Darkseid. It's exactly. It looks exactly how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's Darkseid as a baby with these cute little goggles on to keep the Omega beams inside, kind of like Cyclops' visor, except much more adorable. And he's holding him like a dog, like the back of his scruff of his neck. He's got him by the back of the neck. He's just like, look what I got. And everyone's dead serious in this scene. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? But apparently at the end of the Darkseid War, in order to defeat him, I think that's what they did to Darkseid. They de-aged him. So he's a Darkseid baby now. And his plan is to use not the Omega beams, but the, what's it called?
Omega Sanction.
The Omega Sanction that originally quote unquote killed him around the time of the Blackest Night and sent him back through time.
Yes.
And that's what his plan is to but right after that they get jumped by, a bunch of cultists, and they spill the metal on him, and out of this portal that gets created, out comes the Nightmare Batman, because they've finally been unleashed. Batman has been conditioned his whole life and many other past lives to do this. This was his purpose. He just needed to be fused with that metal. So out pops these super duper cool looking evil Batman. You want to go through their names? I thought you
I'm going to do it from memory because I'm not going to look it up. So the one I couldn't remember before was the Merciless. That was the one that basically is based off of Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. So that's one. So you've got the Red Death. That's based off of Flash. The Mean Machine is based off
of... Mean Machine.
Sorry.
The Death Machine. The Mean Machine. That's what I called my bicycle when I was
pretty
little.
meth.
Pretty meth.
Pretty meth.
Pretty metal. Is that what you meant?
Bourbon.
Pretty
The Death
bourbon.
Machine.
Yeah, the Death Machine. Yeah.
Devastator is based off of Superman and
Yep.
Doomsday.
Yep.
I'm going to save the best one for last.
Yeah.
Assuming I remember all the other. The Drowned is based off of Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
The Green Lantern based one is the Dawnbreaker. And the
Yep.
best named one, and actually the most important of them all.
Yes.
Because it's like the BarBATos' right-hand man
Yeah.
is the Batman who laughs.
Yeah. And these designs are amazing. The Batman that laughs has these two children attached by chains to him, and they're little, like, demon cannibalistic robins.
Yes.
And it's really twisted.
One other thing, too, is that in his universe, he killed all the Bat family that was closest to him. And this is in the tie-ins. This is in the Gotham tie-in. I can't remember what the name of it is. But he ends up recruiting Damian to be like his super right-hand demon Robin. And I think Damian actually like opts into whatever
right?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So is
basically,
that actually Damien, one of those kids?
yes, not one of those kids. There's one that's like the uber one of those kids,
I
and
see.
that one is Damien. And I think you don't see him in the actual Metal series. You see him in the Gotham Resistance.
Okay. All right. So these Dark Knights, these evil Dark Knights come in and they capture Wonder Woman and Superman and they attach them to this battery that they're trying to like basically farm people's nightmares, I guess is what they got going on. And they've attached millions and millions of people in these columns in these cities with all these people. Think of like the Matrix battery centers, except, farming nightmares. So we get a couple of glimpses of what Superman's nightmares look like, what Batman's nightmares look like. And then a weird thing happens. Superman wakes up and Wonder Woman wakes up and they get away. Did you see any explanation here as to how they got out of this?
Nope, not even in the tie-ins.
I was reading this and I was very confused. They're like, I know it felt like years to them when they were captured in this like column of this nightmare factory, and they just get out with no assistance whatsoever. They just get out.
Yeah.
I think Oh, you know what? It's showing Wonder Woman's lasso of truth wrap around his wrist.
Yeah,
but
she got out first.
Yeah, but it's not
and then
clear.
managed to use the lasso for that. But it wasn't clear how she got out.
Yeah, it seems very odd, and they just kind of waltz out of there.
Like you'd think a bunch of characters that were Batman and had worked with Wonder Woman would be like, oh, take the lasso. That's
right.
Want.
If they're gonna stick them up there, and like have them be all like zoned out, why don't you just take the lasso away? It just seems it's
grab
these
that.
little things that just mounted while I was reading the story. Where I was just like, at one point, I'm just like, you know what? Forget. Like, I'm not gonna ask any more questions. I'm just along for the ride. And Superman tries to fight BarBATos head
BarBATos?
on. Yeah,
Sorry.
and gets tussles with the Dark Knights, like the evil Dark Knights. And gets saved by Dr. Fate and the Flash. And he gets pulled into a portal into, I can't remember what this bar is called, the Bar of Heroes or something like that. And like one of those magic pocket dimensions. And another thing, a small thing here, like he saves him in this panel. Like it's really intense. He saves him, runs to the portal. In the very next panel, he's just sitting at a table like he's been there for years. Like drinking
with the beer.
With drinking a beer or drinking water or whatever. And I'm like... Again, like this, it's weird. It's not cohesive, like at all. Like it's not. There doesn't seem to be like. I feel like their panel's missing. You can see it here if you wanted to take a look. It's like it goes from this, like really, like he's running through the portal, and you go to the next one, and he's just like chilling back there.
Oblivion Bar.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking for.
Oh, Oblivion Bar, the name of the bar.
Because
that's a good name.
I wanted to know what my future bar is going to be.
Yeah, dude, that's a good one. Oblivion Bar is good.
Yeah.
And then they get this speech that these guys have all been hiding out here, and Superman's been gone for how long? Is it months?
Batman was gone for 30 years. And by gone, I mean...
He's in his head.
Yes, in his head. And I think in his body. I mean, he was old as shit
he's old,
later.
yeah.
But I don't think... I think
here, these
Superman
guys
said
have been,
2 years.
Yeah, these guys saying like they've had this war while Wonder Woman and Superman were out.
Yeah, kept on warring and dying.
And they show that... They show that like they've lost many major cities. But then they discover that a certain metal can kill them. The nth metal can hurt the Dark Knights.
Which is something you see in the Gotham Resistance, which is not in this.
It's not in this. And that's actually something I understood and got, and I didn't.
It wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary, but that's the perfect kind of thing for a tie-in, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And and they also determine that Dr. Fate, Plastic Man, who is now an egg, sure, and Deathstroke, for whatever reason, because he just shows up randomly, and he has this really like funny attitude. Like, he's a stand-up comedian in this book. I don't understand.
Okay, I'm not the only one that was off put by that. Okay, because I was like, dude, are they trying to make him Deadpool now? Because like Deadpool was trying to be him, and now they've switched it.
Yeah,
like,
it's very Deadpool-y, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Didn't like it at all. I was very put off by that. Superman ends up jumping into the Dark Universe to save Bruce because he's been sucked in through this when the metal was poured on him. And Steel helps him get through with his hammer. So he gets there and discovers that it's all a trap.
Yeah.
In all 3 or 4 cases, because the Dark Knights wanted the nth metal found so they can use it and capture the heroes. And Superman ends up being the key, not Batman.
Right.
Because of his biology, he can power or be the battery for their machine that's going to drag the Earth down into the Dark Universe. I actually really liked this thematic thing where like their universe was getting dragged into the dark. They use that parallel a lot, and it does sell. Like, I quite liked it. And then Superman is locked in this battery with Batman, and Batman breaks out. And this is kind of the problem with the book. It's fucking all over the place.
Yeah.
And I just can't even...
And
it's hard to bring
solutions
together.
present themselves, in my opinion, way too fucking conveniently.
Yes.
Like, Batman, when he breaks out, he's like, oh, this guy has this Superman character is holding the fucking glove that has a bunch of different kryptonite on it. I'm going to take that, I'm going to put it on and be like, ha-ha! Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everybody backs off.
Yeah, it's not clear why everyone backs off. They're just figments of an imagination. Like, how can they be scared or like taunted? It just seems very strange. So Batman breaks out of this. Basically, he's experiencing Superman's nightmares, which I thought was cool. And Superman's nightmares are like Superman in the bat suit from like Dark Knight Returns. Or Superman's nightmare, did you notice, is the electrical?
Yeah.
Superman is one of his nightmares, which I think is really funny, because I don't think there are a whole lot of people that like that phase of Superman. Superman and Batman escape, but they're feeling pretty hopeless as the fucking like paragraphs of dialogue lead us to believe. I'm reading these like essays on hope and faith and all of that stuff, and it's just got really tiresome after a little while. But they do explain a really cool piece of mythology, and it's explained by none other than Morpheus. Dream is in this.
That was the thing I meant to look up, actually, is like, because they kept calling that motherfucker Daniel. I think that's, what is this?
I think that's in. So for anyone who doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, and we wouldn't blame
Neil
you,
Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman's The Sandman character has always been a part of the DC universe, but I think this is the first time he's been in it post the New 52. So he explains the whole thing that's going on here. And the whole thing that's going on is you have a monitor, you have an anti-monitor, and then you have the World Forge. And every time this giant hawk-like figure bangs on the World Forge, worlds are created. But there's also a world dragon. What do they call that? The Great Dragon. And when a world reaches the end, the dragon eats the world, right? But the dragon, who is BarBATos, you find out, kills his master, who is the forger of worlds. And in doing so, he's caused the worlds that are supposed to die to fester and grow and stay alive, but sink into this darkness because they were meant to be destroyed. It's like not pruning a plant. You get this really deformed leaves growing off. If you don't prune it, it's kind of an awful state of affairs. I really liked that analogy.
Absolutely.
And that's what all these dark worlds were. And I liked that. That was relatively simple and well explained, that I kind of understood what the fuck was going on with that one. And the Sandman says that you have to go back to the World Forge and fire it up again. And if it's gone dark, then all hope is lost. So they head off to the Forge. And meanwhile, you have the other squads doing their thing in other areas, and they all get captured, essentially. A word on the Dark Knights themselves. The one problem with this book, there's a whole lot of talking. It's very confusing, and those motherfuckers aren't even in it. And it really kind of upsets me, because I was like, this is these guys are cool. The only guy that's really in it that just talks a lot is the Batman who laughs.
Yeah, and that's...
And I'm like, okay, I'm all for this like great dialogue he's got, but they don't do anything. They're not featured in this book at all.
They're a bunch of goons, really.
Yeah, they're goons for, and they're all in the tie-ins. That's where they are, and that's probably why the tie-ins are good. We should fucking do those, because back to this series, a bunch of shit happens where, Wonder Woman is fighting a newly converted Kendra Saunders Hawkgirl. She finds the mace of Hawkman, which is what they were looking for, this nth metal. And she gets jumped by the Batman who laughs.
Yeah.
And he tells her that, everything you're doing is useless. It's like, don't even bother. And he leaves her there to die. But she ends up bringing Kendra back, and they end up jumping through a portal, ending up at some base of some mountain with just insane numbers of nightmare people, superheroes from different universes. And it's pretty cool to sort of pick out, like different combinations of heroes and stuff. But like I said, I was kind of losing it at this point. I wasn't really sure like what was going on. On Thanagar with Green Lantern and
Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific.
All of a sudden, Martian Manhunter shows up.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys.
Yeah. So they go there and they're like, hey, we're looking for some nth metal. The leader is like, yeah, sure, you want it. And Starro's like literally a giant. Starro is this giant sentient star that can take over people, like Starfish actually, that can take over people. And he's hiding behind the curtain. He's like, can I come out now? Can I come out now? It's really funny. And they double cross Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific. They're in jail. Turns out that one of, Martian Manhunter's on Thanagar. And he's like, hey guys, how's it going? I'll get you out. But then Martian Manhunter just disappears.
He doesn't come back. I know.
There's a panel with him, like the last panel with him is them breaking out.
Yeah.
The Nightmare Batman jump them after they break, because they have the egg.
Yeah.
And they have like, then Martian Manhunter just disappears. Where the fuck did he go? Because he's in none of the splash pages that
he
come
doesn't
up
come
after.
out again. He's there. And this is my biggest problem with this whole series is I feel a lot of things are there for convenience. Martian Manhunter shows up out of convenience. The ending kind of shows up there out of convenience.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that, okay, let's just throw this in there. And to me, it's cheap writing, which I don't like saying for Scott Snyder stuff, but to me, a lot of this stuff is a little bit like, hey, let's just write in the Martian Manhunter to get them out of this jail cell. It's like, why?
Agreed.
I don't
really
like that.
Really cheap use of that.
Yeah. So anyways, it turns out that this villain, whoever's infused with the nth metal, double crosses them and makes the nth metal on Earth go black with this big giant cannon.
Yes.
All of the Nightmare Batman take all of these people. Wonder Woman. All of
not
them.
Wonder Woman and
not
Kendra,
Wonder Woman and Kendra. They're
but
fighting.
Aquaman,
all Deathstroke, Green Lantern, all of them. They bring them back to this. I don't know, wherever their lair up on Challenger's Mountain. We'll say.
Yeah, it's all centered around Challenger's Mountain.
Right.
So Wonder Woman and Kendra come to the base of the mountain. All
Yes.
the other heroes are incapacitated at the top. There are legions and hordes of nightmare superheroes and supervillains in between them.
Yeah.
And Kendra and Wonder Woman have been fighting for hours and can't get up there. Out of nowhere, the Cyborg and the Flash come back from the multiverse.
Yeah,
with
with this
some
big
weird-looking
blimp.
ship.
Yes.
Yeah, this is really weird-looking ship. They're like, we brought reinforcements, and this was a cool moment, but they don't spend any time on it at all.
Yes.
They brought some reinforcements, and they found other Elseworlds takes on Batman.
Yeah.
So they found the positive Elseworld takes on Batman, like the Batman from Red Sun, the Batman from The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
The Batman from Crimson, even the Crimson Mist, Red Rain Batman was there. The Vampire Batman, which is one of the first Elseworlds I read when I was younger, and I loved that. And I love that they had it in there. Even with the backup of the new Batman, like they still can't get up the mountain. And their world is gonna be pulled into the dark universe, the dark multiverse. And Superman and Batman are having this. They've gotten to the World Forge. Lest you forgot about Superman and Batman in this crazy story, they got to the World Forge, found it was pretty dark. They find a gigantic Hawkman who is now a combination of the dragon, the Eater of Worlds. He's the new Eater of Worlds.
Yeah.
Kendra and they open up a portal back to Earth. Kendra and Wonder Woman go in looking for Bruce and Clark because they're stuck in there.
Yeah.
And Kendra talks to Hawkman, and they have this connection, right? And there ends up being a spark of hope.
Yeah.
And who brought that metal? Like, I can't remember.
The metal's in the forge. I think just the
metal's in the
spark
forge.
of hope from Hawkman is what
Lights the forge.
Yeah, lights the forge, which Superman and Batman caught. Kendra comes down, and then Wonder Woman descends into the forge as well, and then Kendra being there just really illuminates it. Then that's when Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman come up, and they're like, "Hey, we've got new clothes."
Cool. Yeah, it was super cool.
We've accessorized.
They come back with the. So they've described nth metal is actually ninth metal, and eighth metal is like the metal that the gods use on Earth, like our pantheons of gods. Ninth metal is, can't remember what its category
Step up.
A step up from that, and 10th metal is a step up from that.
That's the shit.
That is the good
That's what
shit.
worlds are made from,
Yeah, that's
man.
right. Yeah. Oh, well,
That's
exactly.
what is in this bourbon.
It's 10th metal. We're drinking 10th metal
10th
right
metal
now.
bourbon.
Anyway, this is another cool part of the series that I like. They get this cool, dope 10th metal armor.
Yes.
And I thought that was a pretty neat scene. And Batman jumps in, he's been old and frail this whole time. Suddenly he's back young, and his suit looks all great. He's all it's like his suit
chipper.
just got like tailored, you know? Jumps out and he sees everyone like having trouble, like, you know, like they're all incapacitated. He takes out, like, he formulates two like 10th metal batarangs, shoots them and punctures these heroes, and the 10th metal forms armor around them. So the whole Justice League is armored up, starts fighting back. Then basically what it comes down to is that the Batman Who Laughs is going to pull a couple of levers. I can't remember what that was for. The machine. There was some kind of machine, or
The anti-monitor's brain would destroy everything along with the monitor.
Yes.
Something along those
Something
lines.
along
It would
those
break
lines.
everything.
Yeah, essentially it comes down to pulling a couple of levers at the end. And Batman cannot defeat the Man Who Laughs, because the Batman Who Laughs is Batman. It's hard to beat himself. So he enlists some help in what was a pretty surprising moment in the book, for me at least, which was he teams the Joker comes out of nowhere. Our world's Joker comes out of nowhere.
Literally nowhere.
Yeah, he saves our world's Bruce, and they both have this like knockdown, drag out fight with the Batman Who Laughs,
Which was entertaining.
It was good.
If
It
you
was
get
very
rid of
good.
the fact that, like, how the fuck did the Joker get?
Like where did he come from?
Do Batman and him, like, do they share a Twitter account?
Yes.
Do they communicate via WhatsApp? Like,
That's
how
right.
did they get together after that? Like, all of a sudden, he's just there. He's like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, that's right.
I just didn't get it.
I didn't get it, but it was super cool, and like Batman is like, we're never going to speak of this again.
Yeah.
And they fight and beat the Batman Who Laughs.
Pretty handily, too.
I can't even remember what happens now. Like, did they beat him? Like, and
They
then
beat
what
the
happened?
shit out of him.
They beat him to a pulp. Oh, and there's this moment on the mountain when they all get their armor.
Yeah.
They open up Plastic Man.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause he's a
Plastic Man's just
egg.
like, yo, let's do this.
Yeah, and they open up Plastic Man, and they're afraid to do it because he's so attuned with the nth metal.
Yeah.
That,
And I think the Plastic Man egg is reminiscent of, I want to say, the second Dark Knight series. Dark Knight Returns? No, Dark Knight... Fuck, what is it? What's the one after Dark Knight Returns? Or is it just DKR2?
DKR2 maybe.
Yeah.
DK2. I can't remember what it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
like
remember
him
that.
being in an egg form is reminiscent of that.
So anyway, he comes out like somebody's like, can you just change it to a dinosaur or a shark or like a lawnmower, giant lawnmower or saw or like a squid or something? Can you just do that? Because you need to help us because we're getting our asses kicked. And he's like, how about all of the above? And he like, there's this great
starts
plan.
dumbing, and that's the changing point. Like that's where that's the turning point in the battle.
Yeah,
because they were
getting
dire
dummied.
straits,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden that happens, and he fixed it.
So the actual end of the book, the Monitor tells them they can essentially think happy thoughts. It basically
Is that how they fix it?
Yeah, and
through the happy thoughts.
Yeah, through the happy thoughts, they think of hope, and it's their battle cry for hope. And they do this thing, and it spreads across the universe and does a lot of reverse damage. But it also breaks the source wall.
Yes,
which is like the end of the universe for the DCU. And which I thought was really interesting. And later they have this really funny like dinner party at Bruce's mansion where they talk about what happens to their universe now. And one of the great analogies they use, Aquaman says this, I think Arthur says this, he says, our fishbowl has been dumped into an ocean. The possibilities that we thought of our known universe are completely blown off the hinges.
Yeah.
So the source wall has been punctured, and there's stuff out there, and our universe is way, way bigger now. And I liked that notion. And
Yeah, it was a good analogy.
Yeah.
My issue, and this is what I was struggling with earlier, is that I don't like the Etch-a-Sketch ending, where it doesn't seem like it's been a really well thought out ending. It's just like, hey, we all have that 10th metal. Let's just dream up good thoughts.
Yeah.
And then everything's okay.
Yeah.
So
really
I guess the question is going to be what comes after this.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
I'm interested. There's a series called No Justice, I think, that starts after this.
Yep.
So I'm kind of interested in that. I did like this little club scene that they have at the house. And look, I don't know if you saw this, but this is their club scene. They're all like dancing and like, just having a good time. Look who's here. Everyone's here. It's fucking Swamp Thing wearing a bow tie.
How did I miss that?
Yeah.
love
There's some
Swamp
great
Thing.
stuff. There's some great stuff in there. So that's essentially the end. I don't think we did a really great job of describing that plot you know what? It's hard to describe.
I was going to say, in our defense, it's very hard to describe.
Yeah.
If you're going to read this series, don't do it without the other 7...
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 one-shots with the other Nightmare Batman. Because honestly, like, those are the best. Even if you didn't read this series, it's kind of interesting to see where those Nightmare Batman come from. Especially if you like Elseworlds types of stories.
Right.
Which I do personally. I think you do.
I do as well.
For me, my favorite was the Devastator. And I didn't get much from the story from him. Because he was all just this big doomsday monster in the background. But when you see him in his one-shot, I thought it was more interesting because it wasn't that he was trying to kill Superman, it was that he was trying to protect the world from having a Superman at all. It was a little bit more interesting than just
A brute.
him versus him.
Yeah.
I
I want to end this podcast with the fact that I found the Martian Manhunter.
It must have took a while.
Took a while. He had to get this tuxedo tailored because he's at this dinner party at the end of this book. But where the fuck did he go in the middle of the book? Nobody really knows.
Nope. I wouldn't have invited him to that party at the end too.
Yeah, that's
Get
right.
the fuck out of here!
Like,
what are you doing here?
Hey guys, how's it going? Get the fuck out of here! You
we
didn't
didn't even
where'd
tailor
you
a
go?
suit for you. Get out of here!
Where did you go? You can't come to this party. This is employees only. You were fired when you fucking disappeared on the job. Okay, that's it. This has been Atul.
Justin,
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
cheers.